Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Carol Yepison, head of the US at the PRI, and I'll be your host for today. We have a packed program lined up, and I'm really excited to get started. First, don't forget that you can post your views and engage with us on social media using the hashtag PRI Digital Forum. All sessions are being recorded and will be posted here on the event website afterwards. If you have technical difficulties at any point, please check the FAQs tab at the top of your screen where you'll find advice and contact details. To open the program, please welcome the CEO of the PRI, Fiona Reynolds.
Thanks, Carol, and welcome everyone to the PRI Digital Forum. I'm really delighted that so many of you can join us online today. First, let me say that wherever you are in the world, that I really hope that you and your families and your colleagues are all keeping safe and well. It goes without saying that this year has been hugely challenging in many ways, and the impacts of the pandemic have been significant. For those of you in the United States, you've had the added stress of the recent election, its ups and downs, and some of the continued uncertainty. On behalf of the PRI, I have congratulated President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris on their historic election win. As an organisation focused on ESG issues, we've also said that good governance in the context of this election really requires that all votes are counted, that the law of the land is upheld, and that we do see a peaceful transition of power. We certainly look forward with real optimism to the new administration's engagement on a positive agenda to take responsible investment forward across the United States and to reverse a number of the current administration's policies that have hindered the progress of sustainable investing. Policies that were adopted by both the Department of Labor and by the SEC. We, of course, really welcome the commitment of the Biden administration to rejoin the Paris Agreement, whilst understanding that the makeup of the Senate will remain unknown for many months. We look forward to working with the new administration on a net zero by 2050 program to advance climate action and to build the green jobs and green economy that we all need for the 21st century. We also look forward to welcoming the United States back to the world of global cooperation and multilateralism because we need you. There is so much to be done. The government and the private sector need to work together to tackle the pandemic, to address climate change, ensure an economic recovery that does in fact build back better, and ensure economic prosperity for the many, not the few, by building a new social contract, one that prioritises human rights, labour rights, ensures a living wage and access to healthcare for all, just as a starting point. As a responsible investment community, we have a role to play in improving the health of our financial system to ensure that we have a financial system that balances people, profit and planet and cares not just about the returns for our beneficiaries, that's a given, that's our job, but also the world into which they live and importantly, the world in which they plan to retire. If we have a financial system that is perceived to help deliver supercharged profits and salaries for just a tiny minority, while minimum wages are unmoving and basic healthcare is really just an unaffordable mirage for so many, then we cannot expect anything else except to create the conditions for populism to flourish. And we have far too much of that in the world today. The Biden administration can and must begin to turn the tide. With a strong commitment from day one and public counsel from the responsible investment community, including the PRI, supporting the new administration on domestic reform, international cooperation, and global sustainability, there are real opportunities to make the American finance system great again. We will, of course, be picking up on this theme throughout the next 2 days. We'll begin in a moment with a more in-depth look at US policy and the landscape, and an important discussion on shareholder engagement. We'll then move to a review of the complex landscape of everything that's going on in driving meaningful ESG data. And we'll also have a really important update on the PRI reporting framework because we've got new reporting that's happening from 2021. As some of you will know, the PRI has recently launched an investor framework on human rights, beginning a new 5-year program to embed human rights into the investment process, underpinned by the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights, or UNGPs. And I'm really, really delighted that tomorrow we'll be joined by Professor John Ruggie, who's the author of the UNGPs, to share his perspectives on how investors can address this really critical issue. We'll also be discussing diversity and inclusion, climate action, the SDGs, biodiversity, and a range of issues to do with ESG integration. So I really encourage you to ask questions, to get involved, speak up, and help us shape the conversation about responsible investment across the Americas, from the United States to Canada, Brazil, as well as throughout Latin America. I really hope that you enjoy the digital forum. I also hope that you definitely all stay safe and well. Thanks so much for joining us.